This game has clickable boobs! You must play it! Alright, I'll do it properly. You may remember back in my Guild Wars 2 review that I made a jab at turn-based combat systems, calling it an old-gen game mechanic. Well, the reason I said this was because this method of combat is very outdated in mainstream AAA titles. The only reason it was done like that during the 16-bit era was because of memory limitations. It was also the reason why all the battles were random, as you couldn't have too many enemies on screen at the same time. Yes, I know Zelda 2 does have enemies visible while you're walking around on the world map, but they didn't appear until you had walked a short distance, and there were only like 4 or 5 of them on screen at once. Of course, the main culprit of this is the Final Fantasy series. It's taken them nearly 25 years to change their current turn-based combat system into a real-time one. Plus, they seem to have stopped using random battles as well, so it's nice to know that they're finally getting out of this mindset. I said mindset! Now, after all that, some of you are probably wondering why I'm reviewing a game that uses turn-based combat. Well, like I said before, a game has to use this kind of system because of certain limitations, and in this game's case, it's more to do with the coding and overall power of Flash and ActionScript in general. That, and when you think Flash games, you generally think of a small game that's probably going to be a few megabytes in size, so again, we have memory limitations. Granted, this game is nearly 350 megabytes when obtained through Steam, but that's because the game's creator spent the time and effort to give higher quality graphics for this version. Some of you may be saying at this point, I've already played this game for free on Congregate and Newgrounds. Why do I have to pay for the Steam version? That's because the Steam version is a premium edition. It has many other modes that the free version doesn't have, such as Battle Mountain, a boss rush and survival mode, and a New Game Plus mode as well. The story behind Epic Battle Fantasy IV follows on from the previous game, so if you haven't played it, then you aren't missing out on too much backstory, but go back and give them a play anyway, because they're still fun. The heroes from the previous game have started to take the old RPG heroes can take anything that isn't nailed down cliché and begun stealing whatever they feel like. Because they are heroes and they are entitled to that stuff. Of course, they become rather infamous for this, and when the magical MacGuffin du jour gets stolen, a new hero must track down these thieves to get it back. Thus begins the magical adventure of monsters, treasure, and clickable boobies. Clickable boobies. As I've stated already, this uses a turn-based combat system, but, to me at least, this isn't as boring as other turn-based combat systems I've encountered in other games. The UI is colourful, and the icons for each spell and ability make the whole experience less dull. The attack animations are beautifully animated, and even the character idle animations can be fun to watch as well. Your team always attacks first and the enemy second, so there isn't any speed stat to worry about, though you are required to take more time and thought over your attacks, especially considering the enemy can quite often outnumber you. The game is also very helpful at relaying information to you as well. Just mouse over something you're not sure about and it will tell you what that thing does, such as buffs, debuffs, and enemy information. Each character has their own unique set of skills and limit breaks to use. These are learnt and powered up through the skill menu using ability points that are rewarded after winning a fight. There is also a selection of special skills that all characters can learn, so you can give each party member a secondary role to their main one, like giving the mage a healer role as well. The gear that your characters can equip is very diverse. In fact, there is no right or wrong answer to what gear you can use. You can mix and match any pieces of equipment to either better match your playstyle or address the current situation. You can even change gear in the middle of battle as well. The gear you obtain can be upgraded using the materials you find during your quest. Oh, and did I mention the fact that you can upgrade your stuff anywhere at any time? This game cuts out all the needless running back to the nearest town in order to upgrade equipment or save your game, so you can spend more time adventuring and advancing the story. The only time you find yourself backtracking is to turn in the quests that the NPCs can give you, but the fast travel system allows you to quickly return to anywhere you've previously visited. The quests you do can net you some extra gear and even new skills. The only problem I find with these quests is that there are only fetch quests available, so some different types of quests would have been nice. The map areas work in a similar fashion to that of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, in that you can see one map at a time and travel to each section by walking off screen. With a fixed camera angle, it's also possible for there to be hidden items behind things like buildings, or even things you didn't even know you could enter. The enemies are also displayed on the map as well, so there are no random encounters, so you can avoid fights you don't wish to do. Most monsters do block the way to things, such as the path to the next map and treasure chests, so you can't always avoid them. However, this being an indie game and being developed by one person, that doesn't mean it's free from problems. For starters, even with my laptop using an NVIDIA GeForce 2030M graphics chip, this game still lags on high-quality graphics settings. Yes, it does say to turn it down and turn off the idle animations to increase performance, but with the idle animations turned off, everything just looks static and boring. Some of the elemental icons can be a little confusing at times, as the icons for water and ice are very similar, and the status effects ones can be difficult to understand at a glance without having to look them up. Some of the gear specials can be a little OP at times, such as when they grant a character the chance to cast a spell at random and do tend to trigger a little too often. Also, the rate at which the games give you summonable creatures can be a bit quick, seeing as though I started out with 2 basic ones and now I have 6 of them. Though that may be because I'm being very thorough with all the areas I visit. Although I've said the information can be useful, you do tend to find yourself suffering from information overload at some points, so there needs to be an option that simplifies it in some way. One last minor nitpick. Why is there no full cover version of the theme that plays when you use the power metal ability in the soundtrack? Overall, if turn-based RPGs are not your thing, then you may want to give this game a miss. But if you enjoy this style of gameplay and are looking for something that is simple, deep, and gets rid of some of the more annoying features of turn-based RPGs, then you should give it a try. You can play it for free on places like Congregate and Newgrounds, but I would highly recommend getting the premium version on Steam. I've already been playing for nearly 7 hours and I'm only just at the halfway point. Not to mention I still need to finish Battle Mountain and unlock the other 3 game modes. Plus, you also get the full soundtrack included as well. Be it either free or premium, this game gives you a lot for your money and has plenty of replayability.
Teacups full of justice. Sweet.